All right. Welcome, one and all, to Off the Rails Sports Podcast. I'm John. Here we are with the host of the most, Brian. How you doing today, Brian?
Doing well, John.
I'm so used to hearing JT, but yeah,
So am
it's
I.
kind
I think it's the first time I've ever called you John.
of. Now I just got to get my parents to call me that. All right. So let's get into the world of baseball for this week. The New York Mets made a trip to Boston to our favored Red Sox. We found out a couple things. First of all, Juan Soto doesn't like to run when he hits the ball. What did you think about that? Where he hit it off the green monster, he played a double into a single, and then everybody said that's okay.
Uh, Seen and heard that before from many very highly paid athletic players in the past. So it's nothing new and it's nothing shocking to me. I mean, how many times did we watch our own beloved Manny Ramirez do that?
Yep. I
How many
think David
times,
Ortiz once or twice too. Yeah.
yes, and
Right.
how many times have we seen other players do that, where they just assume the ball's gone, and then whatever happens, it goes off the wall, and they end up with a single. It's happened to
Well,
many guys on many different teams, and yeah, you love the
it,
showboating and the bat flip and watching it sail when it actually sails,
right.
and that gets applauded and shown on TV low, and the bat flip is like glorified.
Right.
But then when it doesn't happen, the same people will jump on the guy for not hustling out of the box.
Of course. Of course.
So,
Did- Yeah.
whatever.
That happened to Acuna earlier this year, if you remember. Snedeker got on him for it, and he was like, "Well, you
No, it
didn't
wasn't
get on the other
Acuna.
play."
It wasn't Acuna. He hasn't played yet. It was somebody else. And then
Oh, you're right.
Acuna
Acuna brought
commented,
it out.
"Hey, I got my ass kicked for that."
Yeah, right, right.
You
Yeah,
know,
it'd be helpful if I had some more facts to go
I,
along with
I,
that. But yeah,
I wonder if that happens to Shohei, because he watches plenty of his home runs fly out of the stadium from the batter's box. Is
sure
everybody going
does.
to get on him? Probably
Well,
not.
Brian, they're not because he's the greatest player who ever lived. Okay, I
Exactly.
just want you to know that. Okay,
Okay.
I've already put my vote in for first ballot Hall of Famer.
Okay.
Is If his career ended now, would he be a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Uh, I don't think so. I don't think he'd even be eligible. I don't think he has 10 years in yet.
Well, you don't
You
have
have
to
to
have
play.
10 years in the majors.
I think you do.
Really?
I think you have
Hmm.
to play 10 years unless it's maybe there's an exception for a catastrophic injury or something that ends a career, but I
Right.
believe I believe there is a 10-year minimum of service time to actually
Hmm.
qualify for the MLB Hall of Fame.
I'm gonna have to look into that. Hmm. Is there?
You
Is
look
there
into that.
one?
You look
Yeah.
into that.
We also were told by Juan Soto that the Red Sox were one of the finalists for his services this year. They supposedly offered 700 million over 15 years. Let's just be thankful we didn't get him, right?
Yeah, I'm sure the Red
Yeah.
Sox wouldn't want him playing in their field and hitting in their stadium.
Well, maybe he could play first base. We could figure that out between him and Devers. All right. Let's talk about some things at the court. We are at the quarter pole for the Major League Baseball season. Let's talk about Sandy Alcantara down there in Miami. He is, he's coming off a terrible Tommy John surgery. Somebody on this podcast, and I'm not going to mention any names, but it starts with Brian, said that maybe the Red Sox should trade for him at the beginning of this year. He started out he's averaging 4.6 innings a start. His ERA is almost 8. His walk ratio is 3-1 over strikeouts, and he's giving up 2 home runs per 9 innings. He's having a really good season. Do you think, Brian, he will still be a valuable trade piece at the deadline?
Not if he continues at this trajectory that he's currently pitching at. But I'm not. I'm comfortable enough to say I whiffed on that one.
Okay,
I
okay.
came out. I came out thinking he would return to form because most guys do.
They do.
when they come back from their first Tommy John.
You're right.
He
They
hasn't
do.
yet. So maybe he'll work through it, and by the end of the season, maybe he'll get back or close back to form. But at this point, I don't know if I would be trading for him as if he was still what he used to be.
Right. A number one.
Yeah. I mean, you
Right.
might you
Right.
might you might want to trade for him because you might think, well, we can work with him and get him back, but
Right.
you're not going to have to give up what you would if he was
Sure.
what he used to be.
Yeah, no
So, yeah,
doubt.
potential trade prospect still, but the price tag's not going to be as high.
Right. He's in the discount bin right now. But Florida's going to do another one of their every 3 years rebuild. So he has a cheap contract, relatively speaking. I still think he'll be on the market. But you're right. You bring up an interesting point. Strider for Atlanta is coming off Tommy John surgery. Are we having too high of expectations for them to come back after a year off?
I think the expectation is that they're going to just be the same guy right away.
Right. Right.
I mean, and who I don't know, and I'm sure you don't know how extensive the rehabilitation process is, as
Right.
opposed to not just the strengthening back up of the arm, but then how much throwing and pitching goes into it before they say they're ready to be
Right. Right.
back at the major league level. A lot of it might just be getting in the rhythm of pitching again.
Yeah.
It's one thing. It's one thing to throw a baseball. It's another thing to be a pitcher, and
It's true.
to be doing that, in a game situation every 5 days or so. But then there's also the bullpen sessions, side sessions, stuff like that. And to not do that for a period of 10 to 12 months, you
Right.
got to learn how to pitch again almost.
Yeah.
And for some guys, that just might take a little bit longer based on their pitching style. If it's a
Sure.
guy that just comes out and throws gas, well,
Right.
that's all he's got to do. Somebody who
Right.
actually pitches, has a good repertoire of pitches, off-speed stuff, things like that, it's probably going to take them a little longer to get their full repertoire back to 90 to 100%.
Yeah, you're right. I want to tell you, and I've never disclosed this publicly, but I'm going to say that here on Off the Rails. I actually am in the pitching regiment for John Lester. I drink beer and pizza and chicken 4 days a week, and then the other day I go out and I give up 6 runs in the first inning. Just saying, a good moldy but a goodie. Okay, let's. I was watching because I am stuck here in Southern California. I was watching the Angels play the Athletics in Sacramento, and Brian and I differ greatly on what we think of the stadium. Brian likes it. I think it's just hobunk. But they
Which
were
stadium are
bringing
you talking about?
the Athletics, whatever that Red River Stadium is, or whatever
All
that
right.
thing is,
I thought
whatever
we might
that
have been
thing is.
talking about Anaheim.
Yeah, well, I'm not that far off with that. But they were saying something really interesting during the broadcast. If you ever watch an Angels broadcast, it's literally 3 hours of how come we didn't get that call, how come they got that call. But in between that, for 2 hours and 58 minutes, they brought up something interesting that they say Major League Baseball is talking about, which I haven't heard. Maybe you have, Brian, is if they get into the playoffs, they're going to play the playoff games in Oakland. And I thought to myself, well, what does that do to the fan base? You finally get to the playoffs. We've invested all this time, all 300 fans who are watching them every game in Sacramento or Tampa Bay, and then we don't get the payoff. What do you think? Should they have a playoff game in a substandard stadium?
Absolutely.
Ah,
Because it has been deemed that it is not a substandard stadium, which is why they can use it for the whole season.
well, I guess I'm not sure who deemed that, but
That's
you're right. It's Rob Manfred. I'm not sure I
it's
trust anything he says.
the stadium itself is kind of irrelevant in my opinion, as long as the playing field is the same, the lights are the same, so the field is lit up for night games the same. That's all that matters. The comfort and capacity for the fans, that's not the main concern.
Mm,
That's
okay.
actually third on the list in the MLB, if you want to get technical with it, because the first thing is going to be the playing conditions of the field. The second
Okay.
is going to be the television viewing,
Oh, wow.
because they're going to make more
Probably.
money off of television than they are off of gate.
Sure. Absolutely. And it's actually why I think the A's are going to leave Vegas and go back to Oakland, but that's another story for another day. All right. Let's talk about we're at the quarter pole. Who are the teams that surprise you? Who are the ones who have disappointed you the most?
The Giants are the biggest surprise so far, and I still kind of think they're doing it with smoke and mirrors, but who knows? They've done that in the past and won the World Series.
Right.
Uh, the Giants are a surprise. And I'd say the Cubs are kind of a surprise too, in the fact that they're keeping right up there with the
Mm-hmm.
Giants or the Dodgers and the Padres and the Phillies as far as their overall record.
Yeah.
I figured the Cubs would be pretty good this year and maybe contend for one of the wild card spots, but they seem to have a real stranglehold on that Central Division so far.
Yeah.
And then also the Tigers. Tigers
Yeah.
made the playoffs last year. We thought they'd be pretty good this year, but they currently are sitting with the best record in the MLB right now.
Yeah. I I think the Tigers are the real team here, and they're at 33 and 17. And the thing that I am watching with them is they are a legitimate World Series contender. And the reason I say that is they literally have the two best starters at the top of the rotation. Skubal and Mize are just lights out this year. Finally, Mize has come around. It does seem like it's that year where everything is clicking for Detroit. Torkelson, who literally last year at the trade deadline they couldn't get a bag of chips for. Baez is playing great in center field. Gilbert Torres is actually playing like he did in the last month at the Yankees. I'm looking at that team going, and they play in literally one of the weakest divisions, the Central and the Central, right? So they can
Yep.
get there. That. Who's your biggest disappointments?
On a personal level, it's the Red Sox. I thought they would be contending for the division this year, and here we are, quarter of the way through, and they're sub 500.
Yep.
And I'm not really seeing anything that's giving me any promise.
I don't even know what the hope is. I mean, is there some way we can get
And
Skubal and
and trust
Mize in
me,
a trade?
trust me, if Tristan Casas was still playing first base, it would make no difference. So don't blame it on the first base situation.
Okay. Well, I don't think that's really what everybody is blaming it on. It does
No, I'm
seem
not.
like
I'm just saying
right. Right.
that's
Well, I mean,
not even a
Boston.
factor.
I'm going to say if this goes for another, if this goes till the All Star break, everybody better start hiding in the bomb shelters because everybody's going to throw everybody under the bus because that's the way Boston is. I mean, I think they did Devers dirty. I think we both agreed on that one. And if things start going sideways, the manager's getting fired. Who knows what's going to happen there, right? Any other
Well, I don't know.
disappointment?
Do you
Right?
think the manager gets fired in Boston? Let's say he makes
Yeah.
it through the whole season, but they miss the playoffs again. Is he going to get fired?
Yeah.
Because last year
Yeah.
they extended him. They
I
are
know
they
they
are
did.
so infatuated with Alex Cora for what reason I don't know either. I mean,
Yeah,
he won the
I think
World
he
Series
has.
his first year there, but
Mhm.
every Red Sox manager does, going
Yes,
back to Francona.
that's why I should be the manager next year. Go ahead.
It,
Yes.
and then he's done nothing but they had a decent season, got to the ALCS in 21, but last place, last place. This
Right.
year they're underperforming. Why is he so highly thought of within the organization? I don't get it.
All I can say is he must have some very explicit photos of John Henry, the owner, in compromising positions. Okay, I agree with you 100%. Um,
Right.
all right. I know I keep beating this drum, and I just every day I look at the scores and Colorado loses again. And honestly, I mean, I'm looking at it, and we've talked about it ad nauseum. You know, the White Sox, I thought that was about as low as a major league team could get, 41 wins. This team is not even on track to get 30 wins. I mean, you would think they'd luck into a couple, right? No, it just doesn't work that way. If you don't sweep them, you had a bad week. You had a bad game. You know, I mean, God dang. I mean, how? I mean, really, let me ask you this: is there AAA teams out there better than the Colorado Rockies?
Oh,
You don't have to name them. Do you? Is your gut
I
tell you there's a AAA team out there better? I don't know.
uh
The
maybe.
answer is damn right. No, the answer is
I'd
damn
say
right.
maybe.
I said I'll tell you right now. I'll take Pawtucket. Actually, I would probably
Okay.
take Pawtucket against the Red Sox. They got Roman Anthony still. Okay, we still got hope
Yeah.
there.
What's up with that?
I don't know why they're not bringing him up. I don't know what that is.
And where's the everybody you go back and it was I think last year it was Paul Skeens and the year before it was somebody else and blah blah blah
Right.
all the way back to Chris Bryant with the Cubs and they're just manipulating the service time and everybody's outraged. Why is there no outrage over Roman Anthony?
I don't know. I can't even. And Abreu, why isn't he playing more? I mean, I look at the team and I'm like, well, I don't really understand what's going on, but I know we can yell at Juan Soto for not running out that double, so we can get off that for a week. Core is safe for another week, right? I don't know. Is Roman Anthony going to play center? Is that the plan?
Apparently not. He's going to play in Pawtucket.
Yeah, he's going to play in Pawtucket. I think I texted you the other day. I think he's hitting like 306. I mean, it's not like
Yeah,
he's
we
slumping
don't
or
need that.
something. Yeah, I know we don't need that. We don't need no
And all
stink in that.
reports were coming out of spring training was he's ready for the major league club.
Yeah. Okay, who's your biggest disappointment in baseball?
Uh,
Orioles, Rockies, who?
yeah, I'd say the Orioles over the Rockies because we
Right.
expected the Rockies to suck.
Yeah.
We did not expect the Orioles to suck, and they suck. There's
Yeah.
make no bones about it. That team is garbage.
Yeah.
Look at their record. It doesn't lie, and there's no hope on the horizon for that team because they don't have anybody that can pitch.
I tell you something. I watch an Orioles game, and it's like watching an athletic version of a porn film because it's 3 hours of sucking and nothing happened. I mean, I'm like, wow, there's nothing here, man. Just
They'd
like,
be better
wow,
off pull, pulling Jim Palmer out of the broadcast booth.
damn straight. Yeah,
Sure,
and
he's
his
like
jockeys are
78,
not.
but dude, he's probably
Man,
78 years old, but he could probably still sling it up there for a couple innings
oh, I'm sure.
compared to what they got.
Well, I mean, he'd only give up 6 runs, which would actually lower the team ERA, right?
Yeah, it
I
would.
mean, yeah, whatever.
Yep,
I just honestly, are they going to be sellers? Do you think at the trade deadline?
probably because they
God,
already
that's going to be a tough
when
sell.
when the when they when they fired the manager to blame him and that didn't do anything.
Sure.
Their next thing is to say, well, it's time to rebuild.
Well, there is a couple options left. They still have the mascot and Boog Powell's barbecue over there in the right field pen. I mean, but after that, you're right. They've got to kind of go back to ground zero, right?
Yep.
All right. You got anything else to say before we leave off the rails?
No, I'm good. I'm off the rails.
Okay. All right, everybody. Hit like and subscribe if you could. Leave some comments, and we'll see you soon on Off the Rails.